Okay. I would like to welcome Vince Adams to the Amani Experience podcast. Welcome.
What's up, big guy? I'm sitting here doing all of this clicking because I'm trying to like, hey, how can I get people to follow me like they do Big Emerald out there in LA doing it big? What's up, brother? How's it going?
It's going well. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chat with us. We always do a geographical check-in whenever we start the interview. So tell us where you are right now.
Born and raised in Chicago. I went away to Florida A&M, 5 incredible years. I interned for a year. People say 5 years. Yes, we were required to do internships. So I missed an entire school year working for what is now known as Sprint and GE, and made my way right back to Chicago in 1993.
So I always got to ask, is it North Side, West Side, or South Side Chicago?
I am southeast side. So Chicago is so big, everybody just says West Side or South Side. So, you know, my wife, she lived on the southwest side of Chicago. I lived on the southeast side of Chicago. So lakefront Chicago. Got
it. So I used to live in Glendale Heights, west suburbs, and work out in Schaumburg. I have a love for Chicago. I love that city.
Hey, I love Woodfield Mall. So
yeah. There you go.
Shout out to Schaumburg.
All right. If you're watching on Twitch or any platform and you want to say hello. So hello, Holly, Eve, ask a question, put it in the chat. We're going to have a nice conversation. I'm so excited. I want you to take us back to that first frat party you DJ'd at Florida A&M and tell us what was going through your mind when you were DJing that party.
Man, let me take you even further back. Okay, so I graduated from high school in 1988. So happy birthday to you. I know you just celebrated.
Thank you.
A very young birthday. No, we're just celebrating. So I graduated from Whitney Young, and that's Michelle Obama's alma mater for those who aren't familiar with Whitney Young. So, you know, public school, but a lot of people come from around the city to go to the school. We had just come from a ski trip. So there used to be this thing where people would go up to Wisconsin for a couple days and kick it. So I came back that Sunday from the ski trip, and I lived in walking distance from a movie theater and decided to go and see the movie School Days.
Okay.
So this is like February, March of 1988. And I see this movie about this guy, Half Pint, and none of the girls will talk to him until he pledges a fraternity. And nobody likes him until he pledges a fraternity. And me being the free thinker that I am, this is pre-Kanye free thinker. I'm not talking about that kind of free thinker. But I was like, you know, I'm going to make sure that when I go to school, people know me for me. Like, I'm not pledging anything, and I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that. I mean, you know, we're all very opinionated at 17. And so I went away to school, and literally within the first 3 weeks of me being at Florida A&M, my buddy who pledged Alpha his freshman year, that's back when you could pledge as a freshman, he graduated the year before me in high school, said, hey, my frat brother's having a party. Why don't you come and DJ the party? I was like, no. It was like, it had nothing to do with them being alphas or nothing to do with them being in a fraternity. And I was like, man, I just brought my equipment here for a hobby. And he was like, we'll pay you $50. I said, pick me up at 7.
Yes.
That was my first frat party, actually. It wasn't because I had an interest in being with the frat. It was just because I knew people, and we were 1,000 miles away from home. I had a record collection and turntables, and kind of the rest is history. But I started with the School Day story just to share that even though I am a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, I pledged a couple of years after that, I had no interest in being connected with either DJing or being connected with the fraternity. But, you know, as life has it, here I am.
Here you are, over 32 years later, still going strong.
Absolutely.
How would you summarize yourself where you are right now in 30 seconds or less?
30 seconds or less. I'm living my best life. Ain't going back and forth. No. No. Seriously, I've always been about innovation. I've always been about progression, forward thinking. And I would say that I'm absolutely at the best point in my career now. So imagine doing the things that I've done over the last 20 years, the people I've DJed for, the places I've been asked to go and DJ. I'm actually doing better now in every regard of my life than I was before. And it's because I'm innovative and progressive. 30 seconds.
Okay, I like that. I want to dig into why do you feel you're doing better now with everything that's going on than how you were doing in the past?
This is kind of, quite honestly, I'm built for this moment kind of thing. So When you look at the number of people that I'm interacting with on a business level, it's because I graduated from a very lofty school of business, Florida A&M University School of Business, bank presidents and all types of people that have gone on to do fantastic things. I went to Whitney Young High School, illustrious alumni there, DJed incredible events around the world, got my master's in information technology from DePaul University. I speak the King's English. I went to a HBCU. So you take all of these different things that have happened over the last, like you said, 32 years of my life. And even going back, I started Whitney Young in 7th grade. So if we go all the way back to 1982, the last 38 years of my life, it all kind of like culminated into this period now where you have to be an effective communicator. You have to be technically literate. You have to have a great network. So all of these things kind of roll into this incredible moment that I just kind of was made for, I feel.
Yeah. I'm going to ask this question twice during the interview, but I'm going to ask it the first time. If you could go back and talk to Vince, say March 6th, 2020, and give Vince advice based on what you know now, what advice would you give yourself? Man,
I wouldn't change a thing. But let me say it from this perspective. March 6th of 2020, I believe I just landed either in Chicago or in Mexico. I did a huge event in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta. So it was either I just arrived or just gone. And as soon as COVID broke out, I got a couple calls from people, including my mom, like, hey, we're bored, we're at home, entertain us. Like, go out and do something. And I was like, I don't even know how to go live on Facebook. I don't know how to go live on, I have no idea of how to go live. And it wasn't until I was inspired to go live, and we can talk about that. And you said you'll ask a couple times. So I wouldn't change a thing because I didn't do it because other people felt I should do it, or, hey, I my jobs are possibly ending. So it wasn't like desperation or anything. It was really inspired action. That's what I like to move by, is inspired action. So I took inspired action. So I was right to kind of just pause that second week in March and kind of survey what's happening, and then move when I felt inspired. And the rest has really been quick history.
All right. And then continuing on, what would you say are the two most important skills, you can say more if you like, that you have acquired since you started going live in March?
I'm going to kind of break it up. I'll take a little poetic license with the question and say, what's the thing that has been the best asset that I've utilized? And that's been willing to learn. The desire to learn. I don't like formal education, even though I have a couple degrees, but written tests and that sort of thing, I've never liked, even though I've tested well and that sort of thing. But I've always been a voracious learner. I love to learn. So there were so many things. I mean, like case in point, you look 10 times better than I do right now, not only because you're more handsome, but people can look at your camera and just say, wow, like, what's this camera? And as soon as I got on, I said, hey, you're working with a Sony mirrorless camera, aren't you? You're like, wow, man, I have absolutely immersed myself in technology, in so many different things. So my desire to be a voracious learner is my number one asset that has kind of made a difference for me over this last 6 months. The number one thing I've learned here is that just relative to technology, that YouTube, you can either build a bomb, you could build a church, you could perfect your jump shot. Like, the number of things that I've been able to do from the school of YouTube is incredible. So OBS, which is the platform that I, do all of my shows on, Streamlabs OBS as recommended by Doc Rock. So I used to be in strictly OBS, and people don't call and ask these questions, so I don't really just share, hey, here's what I'm doing, but it's not like I wouldn't share. I'm using Streamlabs. What I've been able to do with Streamlabs OBS, it has really changed my life. I feel that way, because virtual is not going anywhere ever.
Yeah. Why do you say that? Because many of our colleagues in the DJ world, like, you know what, I'm just going to wait. Club's going to come back. It's going to come back. Why do you say virtual is not going anywhere?
Man, Amani, here's what I can tell you. We can have like this conversation, brother. I'm here for as long as you want me. So I don't know the format of the show. You were like, I'm going to send you the questions. I was like, don't send me questions. Let's just chop it up as bros. So anywhere you want to take this for as long as you want to take it, you've got me, because this is history, and people can write this down. Say, I heard this guy say this on September 11th or 18th.
Right.
I'm a week behind. Friday's the new Saturday, Saturday's the new Tuesday. It's all over the place. But on September 18th. But here's why I say that. Two things. One, virtual is serving an underserved community that did not have a say in entertainment. Here's that underserved community. Husband and wife, I've got an 11-year-old. I'm too tired on Friday or Saturday to even try to figure out babysitter, what to wear, who's driving, designated driver. The party now coming to people's homes. You have people who have partied more from home now in the last 4 months than they have in the street in the last 5 years. So those people aren't going to magically go back out when we can, quote unquote, go back out. Second thing is that COVID is not a scientific discovery solution, like, hey, we discovered this vaccine and no, it's a behavioral condition that will persist as long as there's desperate behavior. This person wants to wear a mask. This person doesn't want to wear a mask. This person, I want to be the first person to get a, vaccine trial. I'm never getting a vaccine trial. Well, one thing that a lot of people don't know about the vaccine is you have to have 95% of the people take the vaccine for the vaccine to really work for everyone who took the vaccine. So it's not like, hey, when the vaccine comes out, we all just get to do whatever. So we know about the, deception and all the things that we're not being told, and not, by all parties. I mean, of course, we know Trump is just like Trump. But my point is that the CDC has an agenda. The World Health Organization has an agenda. Democrats have an agenda. Everybody has an agenda. And most times, when those agendas don't line up, then you don't have, everybody behaviorally doing what needs to be done for us to get back out. So as things kind of become unstated, you remember the conversation you had with your mom when she was like, I don't need one of those cell phones. I'll just keep it in my purse for an emergency. And now she's like, can you upgrade my plan? Like, how does that, so, as people start to assimilate and adopt things that just kind of work their way into their everyday way of being, they'll be like, I don't feel like going out tonight, but let me, tune into a party. Or they'll say, you know what, our local organization that typically has about 150 people at our local event, what if we actually broadcasted this to the world, and now we have 1,500 people come in and out? Of course, they won't stay the entire 2-hour duration, but what if we can attract more people that, bring awareness to our cause or to our, that's just going to start to make sense to people, that they kind of get over this fear of, oh, we can't have our local event. No, you can have an international event.
Yes.
At home. So as the sense and sensibility, and as people start to adopt these two, that's the two reasons. One, we're serving an underserved community, and two, people are going to get the viability of what it takes to get your brand out when everyone can't do the same thing because of behavioral, opinions and that sort of thing.
Well said. Well said. Why do you feel that veteran DJs who are more experienced, maybe even better than you or I, have been wary of jumping on board with the live streaming and afraid of the technology? Why do you feel that's the case?
Two things. One, lazy, not willing to learn. Just like, this is the way I've been doing it, and I'll wait till it comes back around to. So that's why I said my number one asset, going back to why I kind of broke it up into two things I've learned. No, my biggest asset is my desire and ability to learn. Most people, a lot of DJs need, managers, and because they don't want to even handle their own calendar. So, I'm just, typically DJs don't always make for the best business people. It just happens. So that's one thing. The second thing relative to the technology overall is that you have a certain comfort level in the fact that you're in your Instagram party, and your Instagram party has, 400 people. Right. Or you're in your Facebook party, and your Facebook party has 75 people. And it's like, I can't get those 75 people to come over to Twitch, or I can't get those 75 people to do this, or I can't get those 400. Well, did you make the 75 people moving about you, or did you make it about them? Because if you make it about the viewer, like, hey, Derek, let me give you a better, user experience. Let me give you an uninterrupted, nonstop party. Let me bring you into a fun, innovative and expansive community where, wow, where's that Twitch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if it was like, man, they shutting me off and I got to reboot for it, that's about you. That's not really about the viewer. So that's kind of my feeling, is that, if you can make the experience about the person who's coming in and not about you, man, it's absolutely incredible.
Love it. Love it. What are the 5 things that you want to be known for?
One, being a person who led and didn't follow. Mm-hmm. Being an innovator, that's important. 2, being a person who, regardless of I don't like the way he spins, or I don't like this, I don't like that, that dude is about his business. Whatever opinion they have about any presentation or any personality component, because everybody won't like you. I'm mature enough to know that. They will respect who and what it is that I can do from a business perspective. So that's 2. 3, being a person that's not afraid to laugh at myself, not afraid to, not so serious, because I am a serious person, but not so serious that I can't take, myself lightly. That's important to me. 4, reach back, benevolent, gave to others. Definitively a team player. That's important to me. And 5, a risk taker, which couples tightly with 1. Right. But I like that as well. The fact that I don't walk the line, that I do march to the beat of my own drum, that I do push boundaries. I like that as well. And
we are happy you're a risk taker. We follow some of the risks you take. So thank you for that.
No, I appreciate that.
What is important for creative professionals such as yourself or myself? And you've spoken about a little bit, but what's important for us to really succeed in today's business environment?
Create value.
Okay.
I've always gotten paid more at every job that I've ever had, not trying to learn more than the person next to me, but by answering questions that the person next to me couldn't ask. The number one mistake that people make in their 20s is they try to learn everything. At least they did back in the good old 20th century. I can't speak for lately, but people used to want to know everything. It's not really what you know, it's can you solve problems?
Right.
The technology professional here, which is what we are now, when I charge for an event, I don't charge a DJ performance fee. I am your venue. I am your consultant. I'm your project manager. I'm your graphic designer. I'm your, run a show coordinator, like everything that it would take to have a physical event. I'm now giving that to you in a virtual environment. There's a different fee associated with that than it was just to stand there for 2-3 hours and pull off a show. But if I can create value for why that dollar amount or why those things matter, now I'm solving a problem for you. And I've moved your physical desire, because some people are having events now and they've never had a physical event, but they're like, hey, how would this work? Or the people that actually have, the structure for a physical event, but they have to move it to a virtual environment. Now I'm providing a solution for that. So providing value, that's the number one thing. It's not like, can I learn 50 different coding things for, no, like, can you, like, I know StreamYard is best for this. I know Switcher is best for this. I know OBS is best for this. And so now I don't have to learn every function of StreamYard or OBS. Or I can just learn what's the best application to provide a solution for the things that come up. So short answer, provide value.
Okay, love it. We just got a raid. Thank you, DJ Classics, for raiding us. We got the raid. Put the noise on. Make sure you refresh your screens and join us.
Sugar babies. All right.
The Sugar Baby Lounge is here. Thank you very much. When you look at your career, when do you feel was the turning point?
Man, if I wanted to go, let me share this about my career. I have never asked to be a part of anything. Here's what I mean by that. The first party I DJ'd when I was in college, it was because somebody asked me to do it. The first party I DJ'd in Chicago had 1,500 people in it. Mm-hmm. It was because my frat brother, Teddy Gilmore, was like, you're going to DJ this party. The first time I was on BET was in 1999 for Planet Groove, when my buddy Nikki Jennings said, you need to be on BET. when I DJ for the president, you know, Barack Obama, you have to be clear these days.
Yes.
Somebody pulled me. So I've never been like, hey, can you put me on? Or here's my resume, or here's my EPK. It's kind of like people find. So that's a blessing. I'm not saying it from a, you know, beat on my chest standpoint. It's just great that I haven't had to pursue opportunities as much as just been open to them as they've come. So the biggest turning point in my career, I would say, one was when I decided to create DJ mix CDs in 1998 as opposed to mixtapes. It was not common for a DJ to have his own CD. Now, everybody had mixtapes, but for you to be able to produce a mix CD, that was like, wait a minute, you can produce your own CD. That kind of allowed me to stand out from the crowd. And that CD, people tell me they've played in Africa, they played it in Puerto Rico. Somebody stole it out their car and they're mad. The ex-boyfriend took the CD when they broke up. Because it's like, I mean, those CDs that I made in '98, which are up on Mixcloud / DJ Vince Adams right now, I mean, they've got the most listens than any other thing so a CD that I made in '98 that I put in Mixcloud has more streams than something that I've put up in 2020. That thing right there, that was a differentiating factor, and it's all kind of been a domino effect since then.
All right. Shanta says she still has those CDs. Shout out to Shanta.
Hey, absolutely. Much love.
Trish says those CDs are the bomb. I love it.
There it is.
Why do you love what you do?
Man, I have to be honest and say that, you know, Kalila can tell you, that's my wife, or, you know, people, they can tell you that I've said that people need this. Like there's such a level of depression that's happening in the world right now. Well, I'm not depressed. Sure, you're depressed. You haven't taken the trips you've wanted. You haven't shopped the way you've wanted. You haven't, you know, hung out with your friends. You haven't gone to church yet. Whatever it is that you used to do at the clip that you used to do it, you're not doing that today, which leads to a certain level of, you know, adjustment, depression. And I'm not saying clinically depressed. I'm just saying, wow, you know, that kind of letdown. So I was like, hey, this event needs to happen for the people, or this thing needs to take place for the people. That's something that is the thing that drives me today. It's not so much here's what I can do. It's like, what can we give the people? That's how I'm living. All right.
And then the flip side of the question is, what is something that scares you?
I'm not scared. I don't.
All right.
Here's what I can say. You know, if you ask my mom, if you ask my brother, if you ask anybody who knows me, they'll be like, he is so willing to have the conversation you don't want to have, or bring up the thing you don't want. And not to be, you know, obtrusive or, you know, belligerent or anything, but just because it's like, if we do it right, we're respecting ourselves, we're respecting someone else, we're advancing ourselves. So fear for me doesn't really exist in a traditional sense, because it's always an opportunity for me to get better. So are there some things I may be more reluctant to do than others, or, you know, everybody's got a gauge, but fear, it doesn't really factor in.
What is your definition of fear?
Something that immobilizes you. Let me share this. Danger is real. Fear is not.
Expand on that. That's a great quote. Expand on that.
A car has jumped a curb. You better run. The first time I ever heard a gunshot was freshman year at FAMU. Somehow I found myself underneath a car. Like, how did I get underneath the car when I heard the gunshot? That was danger. But fear is false evidence appearing real, something that worries you that actually doesn't exist, but you kind of created an association with what the possible outcome could be. It's like, well, what if, oh my God, I've just talked myself into fear.
Yes.
Because it's not imminent danger. So people have to learn to distinguish between danger and fear. So I typically don't have fears because I recognize danger. And fear is something that you can, you know, modulate on your own.
You're preaching to the choir on a Friday. Amen. Next question. Our industry, the DJ industry, is extremely crowded. You've spoke about it before, but I want to ask this specifically. How do you rise above all the noise and distinguish yourself from the competition?
Create value. Zigzag.
Zigzag. Love it.
You know,
yes.
create a term that people aren't doing. Create your own flyers when people need to have someone else create theirs. And I have a graphic artist who, hit affiliate before somebody else does. So they can be like, well, why does he have those? Hit partner on Twitch before somebody else does. So they can be like, well, how? I'm like, hey, if there's an angle, I'm going to exploit that opening. And I say exploit, because manipulation and exploit are not negative in connotation. They're taken negatively, but you should exploit situations. You should manipulate the system in order to get what it is you need, as long as you're giving. Mm-hmm. So, manipulation can have a positive effect if here's what it is that I'm willing to give in order to receive. So, when you make it reciprocal, in that sense, everybody wins. So that's it. I'm definitively always looking for the openings. I say that my life is like the old video game, and I may lose some people with this, but it's okay. Dragon's Lair, where you had Dirk the Daring, and a light would flash, and you would have to then send them that way, and then the light would flash, and so right. That's really how my life is. I don't really pre-plan tons. I kind of see the opening, and then I'm like, bing, I'm that way. And a lot of DJs are just used to doing what it is that they've always done, or kind of want to do it in what they would feel be a conventional way for them. And that to me separates it, where there are people who dance better than I do, scratch better than I do, know so many different things that I don't know. But at the same time, how can I exploit my advantages and create opportunities that otherwise wouldn't exist for myself? And thanks so much for posting. I'm glad that there's some empowerment in the conversation.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on there. I love the chat. My follow-up question for that is, many DJs here on Twitch are really concerned about first getting an affiliate and then getting a partner, and they're just overwhelmed with always looking at the numbers and the stats. How did you handle that? And what advice would you have to DJs who are really focused on the numbers more so than what they're putting out as a product?
Wow. Okay. No, fair question. Here's the deal. I just talked to DJ Yoshi yesterday, and I was like, what does partner mean? How do I know I'm a partner? He was like, dude, there's a little check by your name. Mm-hmm. I was like, I know I'm a partner, but what's the big deal? He was like, man, the sponsorships, and I never focused on it. Like, I literally did not know what the benefit of partner was, other than, it would be cool to post more emotes. that to me was the benefit of hitting partner. It was like, hey, a lot of people have 5 emotes. I can have 20. And then one day I looked up. I was like, oh, I'm a partner. Like, called my graphic artist. Like, hey, let's work on some new. And we're modifying and changing. Now. But that was it. I didn't know that there was like this big thing about being a partner. So, life is about resonance and resistance. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the thing that you think you're resonating with is actually more from your fears or discomfort, which is technically resistance. Here's what I mean, is that if I make my sets about partner, then I'm not connecting with my crowd, my dancers, the audience, about their needs, about what's important to them. It's, to me, more like, I got this goal and we can get there together. So when I decided to switch to Twitch in June, 2 things were important to me. One, to bring other people along with me. It was like, sure, I can get 1,000 followers on Twitch in probably 3 weeks. It's not important if I can do it. It's how many other people can drift off of the momentum that I create, that I can create a way for them to supplement their income, that I can create a way for them to be seen by people. So that was the number one thing that was important to me, which is why I didn't switch earlier, because I could have just changed and brought it over, but I created an entire campaign. And then I brought other DJs into it, and I created a website, and the website and the app are still in development. But to your point, what it is that was important to me in coming to Twitch was about, one, being someplace that I could provide uninterrupted entertainment. That was the first thing. 2, how can I help other people? Because I know I'm going to get 4 figures of people. How can I get other people to come along with me, and then make it about them? So that's an adjustment there for me about affiliate partner. It was never about me. It was like, how can I help other DJs, and how can I give people a good environment to kick it in?
All right. You're preaching to the choir. I love it. Keep sitting in the chats, everyone. We love to join along with you. How has a failure or an apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
This might not sound like a failure. This is not like a job interview. I'm eager and ambitious, and that's my weakness.
I love it. That's the Anderson consultant in you right there.
right, absolutely. That's part of my background. But let me say this is that I actually tend to take very calculated risk. And when I say calculated, I take a lot of risk, but I'm like, that's the way to go, and it tends to work out. So I've been blessed to not really, I'm not a promoter, traditional, hey, let's open a club and I can get people in here. So I've never promoted a party a day in my life as come see DJ Vince Adams. And that's not my lane. That would be a humongous failure if I ever did that. 2016, 2008, just not my lane. Mm-hmm. So my point moreover for saying that is I haven't really had what you would consider traditional failures, because I've taken very calculated risk, and I'm like, it pans out because I execute the plan. Something that I could have done better, which is kind of weird, is for my 50th birthday, I had a virtual party for my 50th birthday. And I did not want to seem like I was beating on my chest or over promoting myself, because I'm conscious of it. There's a
yes.
happy medium.
Yes.
So what I didn't want to do was promote my birthday party on my, hey, here's a post so everybody can say happy birthday, but thank you so much for the love. Those posts on Instagram and Facebook got so many likes and so many responses. I was like, God, Lee, imagine if they knew about the party. So sometimes you can play it a little too safe. Sometimes, so that I learned then, hey, it's free. It won't hurt anybody's feelings if you let them know that they can come out to it. Take that chance, as opposed to, if you're not beating them over the head for money or something like that, hey, just let them know, come celebrate with me. And that's something I learned from, and definitely would do better if I had it to do, or do different if I had it to do over again. And all candor with the family, I'm having such a good time here. These new MacBooks suck. So I've been plugged up to electricity, and I'm watching the power go down.
Oh.
So Amro, do I have?
Yes. Go ahead.
No. Here's the deal. If I come in with another computer, will that image come in as well?
Yes.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shut down the video of this, and we can keep talking. And I'm going to boot up and come in on the other one. So we're still going, and then when that other feed comes, then patch me in there. Sorry for the switch.
No worries. That's what we're here. We're live. Thanks everyone for joining on the Twitch. Keep putting your comments in. We'll wait till the last 15 minutes, and you can put questions in there as well. But keep sharing what you're thinking. Having a good time here. Having a good time. Thanks again to Classics for the raid. Make sure you follow Classics on that raid. And as we go through and talk to Vince, we'll have some good questions here. I saw.
And I'm still here.
Oh, you're here. Okay. Well, here
I'm just saying. I just killed the video, but I'm still here.
Yes, Miss J. UK. Rewatch the video again. So, Vince, the next question is, and you can kind of speak to this because I know you have a great answer for it. You performed all over the world. You performed with some of the most important people in the world. You performed in front of some of the best DJs in the world. Now, on the flip side, you do require some critics, or haters, as we call them. How do you handle your critics?
Wow. The first thing that you can do is, one, here's my personal philosophy in life, is that everyone is truly doing the best that they can in life. Like if there's a homeless person, if there's a person that is not necessarily the most scrupulous individual, if I ask myself, do I really think that they want to be, this caliber of person? It comes down, and I think I'm going to pause super quick.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm able to hop in the room
Yeah, come on back in the room. So we're gonna mute you right there. There you go. I'm gonna add you here. Take you out there. So there you go. So Regina, yes, I'm a DJ as well. I do my podcast. This is the 4th year doing the podcast. We interview creative people who used to work in the corporate space and have left to do something more creative. And oh, that's we're getting a little echo here. So let's see here. I think we're good.
No echo on my end. I'm good.
You good? Okay. Yeah. So that's it. So the question, you were talking about handling your critics.
Yeah. So everyone's doing the best that they can. So there's a book called The 4 Agreements, and I might be losing you on light a little bit, but you got me in video and audio. So you have a couple laptops in your life. So, there's a book called The 4 Agreements, and maybe the second agreement is don't take anything personal.
Yes.
So within that, I know that people generally don't want to be haters. They don't want to be miserable. They don't want to be, but they're there. So in understanding that, I'm still willing to confront conflict head on. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily, and people say you shouldn't give that your attention. No, really, you shouldn't give it your energy. There's a difference between a judgment and an identification. So I should identify that a person is not good for me, but I don't necessarily have to have a judgment about who that person is. So it takes a certain amount of self-awareness. It takes a certain amount of maturity. It takes a certain amount of, IDG, AF. It takes a certain amount of that, but but what happens is most bullies cower under being, addressed in return. So I'm not the type of person where I'm not, against addressing a hater, but I won't necessarily lose sleep over it.
There you go.
Right. So if there's anything, tangents of that you want me to address, but that's really it. I'm willing to address it, but I don't lose sleep and I don't take it personal. Everyone's doing the best that they can.
There you go. That's all you need to say. I love to share how resilience impacts people's lives. That's where this next question will lead us. Mm-hmm. It says here, tell us about the darkest time in your life, how you got through that, and what did you learn from that experience?
Wow. Okay. Darkest period. I'm so blessed I have a super small family. Mm-hmm. So they take care of one another very well. We're all still here. So I'm 50 years old, never been diagnosed with really anything super serious. I did have one episode with Xenadrin. Remember that back in the early 2000s where baseball players were, falling out. I did have something there, but, just relative to, so I do want to kind of put that in perspective to say that people have been through far worse, spouse has cancer and treatments. And so I just want to put that out there to say I can't compare what I'm about to share with that level. But there was a period about 2006 where I was in business for myself and had kind of put DJing on the back burner where I wasn't working as much as I otherwise would have been working if I didn't put this business out front. And I had a team that depended on me, relative to, for resilience and leadership and that sort of thing. So I'm 36 years old and I've got this team and I can't pay my rent. The lights get turned off and I have to go to a meeting with the team in a suit and, kind of posture. And I won't say front, but there is a certain amount of protection that you have to give people when you're their leader. That was a very humbling experience because most people, when they're in that situation, they just, get to sit home and not necessarily, have to put up a certain veneer, so a certain, source of strength in front of those people. So entrepreneurship, I've worked for myself, for the last 16 years. So 2004 was the last time I had a formal job. I had been working as a DJ full-time and working corporately full-time at the same time. So corporate income went away, decided that I was going to really focus on this business, not DJ as much, and the income like went down. So that was a very humbling time to, have to be in front of people, have to, and then come home and have no refrigerator, no lights, no. Thank God I've never been in that situation since. I've learned to really value multiple streams of income.
Yes.
As a result of that, as opposed to kind of laying most of your eggs or all of your eggs in one basket. And I'm going to turn this way so that a little, like the brightness from the lakefront is starting to come in. So you've got me a little better here. But yeah, that's the thing, is that that was a super humiliating thing for, a 36-year-old living downtown Chicago with a Lincoln Navigator. To come home and not be able to pay the car note, the lights are off. Yeah, I think that's a low point.
I would agree. So then tell us, how were you able to get through that, and what did you do so you didn't just stop and bow out? How did you get through that?
Man, I smiled. I'm here. As long as you have the ability to put one foot in front of the other, life has its ebbs and flows. And so just understanding that it was a moment in time, not owning that entire period or that, period of my life as my new existence. I mean, too many people do that. When something happens that's negative, it's like, this is my new existence. No, this is a moment in time. We really have the ability to think and feel past this current discomfort. And so I've always been resilient in that regard, is that I've had the ability to think past the current discomfort. So I didn't shed a tear, and I'm not saying that because I'm macho. No, I just understood the temporary aspect of that moment in time. And so that's how I was able to get through it, is I said, hey, let me do this. Let me call these people. Let me, borrow some money to get the lights back on. That's the number one thing. And man, I mean, I've had situations like that, where, because every entrepreneur goes through, peaks and valleys. I mean, I'm not, it hasn't been that bad, but it's been like, okay, these 3 gigs canceled out of the blue, and I thought I was going to do this, so it's always, a give and take in that regard. But I've come out of that to say there's nothing that can stop me.
All right.
Nothing.
What is your definition of resilience?
Smiling in the face of adversity.
Boom. That's all we need to say. Who was the most influential person for you growing up?
Mom.
Tell us why, because we see her on the streams. So tell us why.
so here's the deal. I mean, my mom. Is this a family show? Can I spill the tea?
Yes, you can spill the tea.
All right. So here's the deal. My mom might watch this at some point. She might be watching on Facebook now, so I might get in trouble. So I don't know my dad at all. And this part she wouldn't care about. So I don't know my dad at all. So my mom had me at 17 months and 11 years. Our birthdays are about a month apart. She had me as a teenager just before her 18th birthday. So we kind of grew up together. I mean, just think about it. Your mom is 30, you're 12, kind of closer in age than, 42 and 12. So I listened to the music she listened to. I went through the things she went through. Here's something I can say. I've only seen my mom cry once in life. And that's when I wrecked her car. I crashed her car senior year of high school for the second time. Now, here's the deal, is that they were both under horrible driving conditions. So ice, snow. Right. So it wasn't like I was driving recklessly or not paying attention. It was a Volvo. And if you hit the brakes, there were no anti-lock brakes back then. You hit the brakes, the car may still keep going. So I slid both times. She cried the second time. My purpose for bringing that up is that my mom, I've never seen her cry over stuff. I've never seen her cry over a man. I've never seen her cry over money. I've never seen her cry over anything. And I'm not saying that that's weakness. I'm saying that gave me a different relationship with what's important. Gave me a different relationship with women. It gave me a different relationship for a lot of things because I saw a lot of strength, and I got to be, fortified. I got to be schooled in what's important, what to pay attention to, what not to pay attention to. And so her strength has given me a lot of moxie in life, but getting it from a woman gave it to me maybe in a way that allows me to be a little bit kinder, a little bit more respectful, a little bit more mindful of other people than if I had gotten that same moxie from a macho perspective. So I was raised by my mom, my grandma, and my aunt. We see Auntie Amelia in the party. We see me in the parties. They've supported me, since I was playing Pee Wee basketball.
Yes.
I was shorty, but they absolutely are very strong women. So that's my hero is Mom, man. Like, so, that level of strength, resilience, forethought that she has, I was just a sponge. That's all I could do was to, she's 24, I'm, 6, she's 30, I'm 12. Like, I was there for most of the things she had to go through. So, with being able to borrow from that strength, it's made me the person I am today.
All right. Yes. What do you find easy to do that your friends find hard to do?
Learn. It's like if you want to keep a secret from somebody, put it in a book.
You got to say that again. Say it again so people don't miss that one.
If you want to keep a secret from somebody, put it in a book. I mean, the answer is there. Like, in 1991, if you were going to meet a friend for breakfast and it was almost noon, like it is now, and you were running late, you would figure out a way to get there a little quicker in order to not be as late as you would if you could text and say, I'm going to be a few minutes behind. If it was a quarter past the hour in 1991 and you were standing on the corner that you were supposed to meet your friend on, you wouldn't send them a text message and say, where you at? You had to figure different things out. There was a certain level of, cognitive behavior, or, I don't know what you would call it, that we don't exhibit today. And so since, I've got literally over 100 audiobooks in my Audible. I've got literally hundreds of books in my Kindle. I've bought hundreds of books over the years. My desire to learn, my desire to read, my desire to figure things out is something that I just don't see in most people. They want the answer given to them.
Yeah. I love your thirst for learning. As a professor, that just warms me up and just inspires me. So don't ever lose that.
There it is.
What would you like to be better at?
Ooh, okay. I'm a horrible writer downer. Everything's in my head, and it hasn't hurt me yet. Like my calendar is in my head, my thing that needs to be done next is in my head, so many things are in my head. It goes back to when I was an undergrad. It goes back to high school, but more directly in undergrad, I could write all of the drafts of my papers in my head and then sit down and do a final draft that got me an A. I could, as a project manager, sit in meetings with my clients and take very few notes, not like copious notes where I'm like scribbling everything down. What are their needs? What are the objectives? What are the deliverables? And all of it was in my head. I'm 50 now. I probably need to commit more of that to paper because I am busier now with administrative aspects of my business than I ever have been. Because there's so much more that goes into a virtual event than goes into a physical event when you're doing, one for somebody else. If I was doing a gala in the past, I could just show up with my backpack 45 minutes early. Somebody else set up the equipment, plug in my laptop, put in work and leave. There's so much more that goes into it. Now I need to be more committed to the process from a physical, material in, as opposed to just committing it to my brain.
All right. Thanks for sharing. When you turned 21, you were in Tallahassee, right? At FAMU?
Interestingly enough, I was home for the summer, and I spent most of my summers in Tallahassee, but that summer I was in Chicago. But yes, I was a junior at FAMU
Okay.
in that time.
So we're going to travel down to Tallahassee, talk to 21-year-old Vince, give him advice based on what you know now. What advice would you give your younger self?
The advice that I would give my younger self is create a better relationship with money.
Okay.
It took me to my later stages in life to create a better relationship with money, because as a 17-year-old, mom is more so concerned with you getting to school and that sort of thing. But, like, here's how you handle this situation. Here's how you do that. Man, at 20, I mean, imagine this. At 21, you're DJing, 7-9 events a month, making, anywhere from 75 to 125. Like, if I got it, it was spent. it was like, hey, all you can eat wings on me. I got it.
Right.
Let's go. And, so it, definitively, I mean, I don't, people see that Khalil is in the party. I mean, and that was happening before Twitch. I mean, I'm blessed. We're married. She hasn't, had to have a formal job since, 2007 by my desire, not her. She absolutely is dual degree, fully capable, but at the same time, the number one asset that a person can get is your freedom, time freedom. So if I can afford her time freedom, I'm willing to work harder for her time freedom, as we've been together since 2017. And I was like, hey, life is going this way. I got you. I kind of see some things that we can do. I wouldn't have been able to do that at 27. I wouldn't have been able to do that at 30. But I was blessed, in an earlier period of my life. It's not a secret. I've been married before. I was blessed to be able to do that same situation with my first wife, where I was the principal breadwinner. She didn't work. And so, 21, I would say take that more serious back then.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. You mentioned you celebrated your 50th birthday recently, so happy belated birthday.
And I'm going to break in because we're brothers.
Yes.
Here's what I need us to do in this conversation. I want you to hit me with everything you got, but we got to drill deeper on this virtual world. We got to drill deeper on Twitch with whatever time we have, because there's some, because you're a master, you're a Twitch master, and I've been able to do some fun things with it. I think that for the casual person who's not in Twitch, it's like, what's this Twitch thing? Or, for your people that are in Twitch now, it's like, yeah, we want to learn more. I think the two of us can bring something special there. But I just turned 50. I'm sorry, I'm hanging on the end.
No, absolutely. No, we go back and forth. So 50, people look at DJing as a young man's game, young woman's game. Like only the kids can really do it. You're 50, you're still on your ascension. What's your response when people are like, oh, DJing is for the young kids now? What's your response to that?
You got to know your lane. And what I mean by that is if somebody calls me for, hey, I'm doing this retreat for the youth convention, I'm like, I ain't your guy. I'm like, well, let me connect you with somebody who would be better suited for that. Right. But, what I can say definitively is that my parents' age, they had what were called basement parties, or, like they kind of congregated. They, after their club days, they kind of, moved to get-togethers and that sort of thing. Whereas now you do have people that are between the ages of 45 and 60 who are a little bit more communal in their partying. So if you can connect and create value for that group, and I see DJ Irul is saying, so I want to be the go-to person there. I'll share the story in this regard. And this would be great for the DJs that were in there, in here. So I've always been big on adoption of technology, always been big on adoption of technology. So I got Serato in 2015. One of the things I didn't recognize about Serato is that every DJ with a computer, or every person with a computer by 2008 was going to be a DJ. So the way that things were set up for me pre-Serato, I could work 3 gigs and make $2,000 in a club. When Serato came around, the club owners, the promoters were like, we're willing to pay you like a fraction of what you used to make But at the same time, this guy is willing to do the entire party for like what we pay you for 1 hour. So your choice is yours. So I had a decision to make, and I said, you know what? I'm from Chicago. I've never made a rap song. I've never been in a video, but I want to be the premier alternative to Biz Markie, D Nice, and Kid Capri, guys who I've worked with over years. I'm going to flip my salary to a corporate salary, to a special event salary, as opposed to a club-based income. And I really took on a project for myself, which took 4 years, didn't turn overnight. But by the end of 2012, after taking pictures with President Obama and everything that led up to that happening, I picked my lane. My lane was no longer the club lane. My lane was special events, but, for this, part of society and that sort of thing. So the answer to the question is, this is something I've done over the years, is I picked my lane, like here's the opening, but here's my plan to make myself relevant in that place. Most people want to do the same shit they were doing 15 years ago. I'm like, dude, you're 46. No. I thought you were like that one. Happy birthday, bro.
Thank you. That was funny.
But most people want to do what they were doing 15 years ago, as opposed to adapt it to, how is my crowd brought in? How can I bring a few of these people back in, but still cater to this one, but not be repetitive? There's some things that need to be done in that. Most people just want to continue to be hot to the young folks, or hot to, like, man, get in your space. Yeah. There's enough people out there to make you, be able to cash a check.
For sure. You mentioned something I want to follow up on. Why do you feel that our community is always late to adopting technology? We run behind, we're resistant. Why do you feel that's the case?
Because we man, we are products of our environment. So what I mean is that if I'm Jeff, and Jeff is a 7-year-old white kid, where mom is like, hey, Jeff, here's $400. We're going to start your first savings account. And I want you to, with that, like, there's a lot of systematic things that happen in other cultures, be it Indian, be it Asian, be it, African, not African American, but African, that teach certain principles and values of resourcefulness, of, learning financial things. Our lessons: don't bring nobody home pregnant, don't come home pregnant. I mean, so the most of the lessons that come from urban, United States Black community are fear-based. Not you, person that this doesn't apply to.
Right.
So no one has to get defensive and say, well, that's not my house. Yeah. Right. So you're the exception. For most of urban African American, it's fear-based. Don't do this. Do this when the cop does that. But it's not, here's how you fortify your life, or here's some principles that you can put in place that will help you 25, 30 years from now, when you get a wife, when you get a husband, when you, whatever. Those lessons are taught in other cultures, not even races. Other cultures tend not to be traditional African American things. So for that, we don't necessarily get that figure this shit out kind of mentality. It's like, that don't apply to me, or I don't know. So, with that being the case, we tend to be behind, but it's not our fault as much as it's just something our parents did the best that they could do, because that's how they were brought up as well.
Yeah. So we have to stop that cycle, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's not academic. It's certainly not academic. A lot of us are academically, no, these are life lessons. These are things that take place, between the four walls of the crib, that don't even take place out in the street, or, in the school. So a lot of things we just don't bring, to our communities.
Yeah. Every great person has a sentence. What is your sentence? For example, my sentence is, I love to help people unlock their creativity by teaching them how to DJ. What is your sentence?
My sentence, that was introduced to me in spring 1990 when I pledged Florida A&M's chapter of Alpha, which is the Beta Nu chapter. I would say that 95% of people who pledge a Black Greek letter organization learn the poem If. And that poem has one line that has stuck with me through my entire life, which is, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. I see myself on TV. I'm like, that is fantastic. A gig cancels. I'm like, wow, that sucks. You know, but you don't see me like, yeah, did you see me on TV?
Yeah.
Or gig cancels. I'm like, oh my God. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't tend to take the emotional roller coaster. That's essentially what it is. Get off the emotional roller coaster. But a lot of people read their own press when shit is hot and like, all right, yeah. And when it ain't hot, they're like under, you know, the bed somewhere. They're miserable.
Yes.
1990, spring 1990. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, that's been my guiding principle for the last 30 years.
Excellent. I'm curious this next question, because our lives have changed so much in the past 6 months. What is one new habit that you've added to your daily routine in the past year or so that has been most beneficial?
None. That's the funny thing about it, Amani, is that I had so many daily routines. I really did. I had so many daily routines prior to this that I think it prepared me to do what it is that I'm doing now. So let me share it like this. What we should all strive to have is a lifestyle that fosters the life that we want to lead, not the habits that create that lifestyle. So you have to develop the habits on the front end, but then once it becomes a lifestyle, it's second nature. I think that I did so much preparation that I didn't know this moment was coming, but I was always in my mind, like, say this in the morning, read this, study this, look at this YouTube about mindset, do that. Like I was doing, I may have watched one mindset video in the last 6 months because I've been living it.
Right.
Not preparing for it. So from a personal answer, what I would tell somebody else to do is adopt the habits that it is that you would want to create the lifestyle that you want, not just for the fact or the point of being habitual, but because you want to incorporate these things as just a part of how and who you are and the type of life that you want to have. So a book, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yes, yes.
In Atomic Habits, he talks about the fact that we shouldn't be caught up in the individual dynamic of whatever it is we want to accomplish, but we should actually be, you know, more so just happy with the steps that it takes to get there, not so much caught in the goal.
Yes,
so,
the process.
Right. So until I can do, 40 push-ups a day, I'm not doing any. Until I can do 50 push-ups a day, I'm not doing any. Until I can do this. Now, well, it's like, well, what if you did 3 push-ups a day?
Yeah.
What if you just developed the thought of, I'd like to do 3 push-ups a day, and that's what I'm going to do. It's like you would do more doing the 3 push-ups a day consistently than having to take it or leave it or all or none approach to it. And so, Atomic Habits, incredible book that took a lot of my feelings and my philosophies and kind of crystallizing into, I've always kind of thought that, oh, that's a great tweak. So again, going back to the library, Atomic Habits, made it so that I haven't changed that much in the last 6 to 12 months. I was doing it, and that's kind of led it to be a lifestyle now.
Exactly. That's a perfect segue, because my next question has to do with books. You mentioned you have hundreds of books on Audible. You have a lot on your Kindle. If you were going to pick, and I'll give you 3 or 4 or 5 books that you feel people should stop what they're doing right now and start to read them immediately, what books come to mind?
Psycho-Cybernetics.
Okay.
Dr. Maxwell Schwartz. Maxwell Maltz.
Mm-hmm.
So Psycho-Cybernetics, incredible book. If anyone gets what this book is about, it will change your life. Like if you get and assimilate what this book is about, it will definitively change your life. For a guy, David Goggins' book.
Oh, yes.
Goggins' book for a guy, because his delivery is so crude.
Yes.
The message, and not, there's some women out there who may say, like, don't. I'm just being mindful and respectful. It's a very crude approach to some very incredible concepts. So Goggins' book is one for a guy that I would say, definitively take in. And one that's a super heady book is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Okay.
By Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's incredible book, but it's it's like ultra nerdy. But if you can assimilate those concepts, and then I think for Dr. Shad Helmstetter, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself.
Okay.
Those 4 books, I would say, if a person was really like, I'm not into the law of attraction, I'm not into religion, I'm not. All that religion and law of attraction are ways for you to have a relationship with yourself and your environment.
Good.
I think that these 4 things allow people to approach those concepts without it feeling like, I don't believe in that. I don't believe. No, this is the way it is. It's just in it.
Yeah.
So many books that I could go on that like go a little bit more spiritual, a little bit more law of attraction-ish, or a little bit more, but I think if you just kind of want to walk down a middle lane that everybody can pick up and not have a judgment from, it may bore the hell out of them, but that's why I say that the answer is in the book. You got to be willing to go through it.
That's brilliant. Put the secret in the book. So people in the chat, I will share the titles of the book with you. We'll make sure you all get it, so don't worry about that. What has been the best advice you've ever received?
Man, I'm going to say this. There's nothing that comes to mind. The best advice that I've received are the examples of the way that people have lived around me. I have a very large circle of friends. Like I live like people like, I only got 3 friends. No, I got hundreds. You can't have hundreds of friends. I got hundreds of people that I could call without me, quote unquote, being somebody of note that would absolutely listen to me, share with me, give to me if I just made the call. I can definitively say that, and it's a fantastic place to be in. More importantly, there are people that I get to live around that have been incredible examples of this is how a marriage should look like. That's how a dad should look like. That's how a mom should like. Those things, more so than what comes out of a person's mouth, being actually able to observe people living what I would call an exemplary, not, static free or not, perfect. Nobody's perfect. But that to me has been the observation of like, when I see my sister, Jana Johnson, now Davis, and her husband, Mauli Davis. Jana and I went to Whitney Young High School and FAMU together. Mauli, we used to play basketball together when I was a little kid. Like he went to De La Salle High School and went off to the Navy. He is now one of the top civil defense attorneys in Atlanta. She is a cancer survivor. What it is that they have been able to do for themselves, their family, and their community is an incredible example of the way a person can live their lives, but they've never picked up their phone and said, Vince, this is what I think you should do. So I would say that the examples that have been around me have been far more profound than anyone saying a specific thing, as a point of advice. I don't want to, start the question, but.
Yeah, no, that's your answer. And I love your answer. Yeah. Now, are you a White Sox or a Cubs fan?
Neither. I don't like baseball. I'm a Bears fan, so I'm always rooting for the Cubs or the Sox if they're playing somebody else. But if they play one another, I'm like, whatever.
Okay, we're gonna let you walk up to bat at Wrigley Field. They say Vince Adams is walking up to bat. What song is playing as you're walking up to bat?
I'm going to go kind of unconventional and say "Turn Down for What."
Okay.
That's a hot stadium song to come out to. So, that's the kind of DJ that I am, because Turn Down for What is not a song that's in my personal, playlist collection.
Right.
But I'm always trying to be situation appropriate with the song that I'm playing that I think is the best song for the people that are listening. So, as a stadium jam kind of song, me walking onto the plate, Turn Down for What?
Okay. All right, so let's kind of shift over to Twitch. We can kind of talk back and forth now about like what you've seen. When you made your switch to Twitch in June, what has been maybe the 1 or 2 things that have surprised you the most about the way the platform is and the way your people have adopted to Twitch?
The 2 things that I'm most surprised about is, one, the integration in the community. like the fact that it's a community-oriented platform as opposed to a technology-oriented platform. That to me was like amazing. But the gamification of watching on, you know, like Twitch is nothing but a case study. You know, it really is like they took, you know, people in the lab and then, you know, push this button, push that button and said, make it do this, don't do that. They don't need this. And hence we have Twitch. So the biggest surprise, you know, first off was not that people would come over or whatever. You know, it was the fact that it was actually a community, but it was people oriented. The second thing is in the event that I go live on Facebook versus go live on Twitch, I actually see far more interaction and engagement simultaneously in Twitch than I do when I'm in Facebook. So I call Facebook lurkers. They're not real party people. They're like, what's happening over there? But people that really want to have a good time, they're in the Twitch community. I mean, it's that simple.
Okay. What questions did you have? Because I know you said you want to talk about like Twitch and kind of like what I've learned, because I've learned a lot. It's ironic that I taught Twitch for 3 semesters at Cal State Fullerton. This is the first time since March I've used it, and it's completely like just transformed how I'm going to teach it, but blown my mind. What kind of things are you wondering about Twitch, or like what are your thoughts on like collaboration? Kind of share kind of what you're thinking so far, and we can kind of take the conversation that way.
Where do you think Twitch's position is in the landscape of the social platforms that are out there right now? Like where do you see it fitting in, you know, any place that a person can watch a cooking show or watch an online party?
I think Twitch it's on its ascension very quickly. I think when you combine this, the music effort, DJs, but musicians, producers on it. The only thing that I'm waiting to see what they decide on is the whole kind of copyright thing that slows us down with like Instagram or Facebook. But I have a feeling that they're working on that behind the scenes because they have certain agreements in place with record labels already, and they have certain agreements in place with DJs as well. I think that what we're witnessing, and I got to give a shout out to the real DJ Dark Knight, who says it frequently, we're in the middle of a movement where, as you described, like we're shifting from things having to be in person to something being online, and Twitch is kind of perfect timing, like the perfect storm. And I see that this is not going away, and it's people are actually preferring to cancel their Sirius XM and some of their cable, and they're watching Twitch more than they're watching TV. So I think it's on its ascension. I think if they continue to work out just different ways to monetize for the creators like us, but make the viewing experience easier for viewers. That's the toughest thing, is viewer experience for the viewers. If they can continue to work on that, I think you have something that could be legitimately like here for a long time.
That's powerful. I was telling a buddy of mine, DJ Just Teach One. He was like, man, I really like Mixcloud. I was like, you like Mixcloud? My point for saying that was that Mixcloud is a great DJ experience for a platform. It's not a great user experience. You want to go where the user can have the best opportunity. Not like the sound is better and the pictures. Nobody cares about that. The user experience is, you know, what it's far more about than did you like the clarity of this or, you know, that sort of thing. So I agree. It's the best hybrid I've seen.
And that's why I think early on, I saw that people get really intimidated by Twitch with the emotes and the chat. Like, it's a lot. You're like, whoa, what is this bits? What is all these things on the screen? So that's why we started to I started to say, okay, well, let's get a small group. Let me just show you how to use Twitch and get you adjusted. And we started doing these Twitch classes. And now we're up to, I think we're going to have our 8th or 9th class, and more people are coming. But what really, really inspires me is to see the people that first started when we first did the first class like 2 months ago, to see how they are now helping people on what to do on Twitch. And they are like doing things, and that's very inspiring, because that means the teaching is working. And so we just kind of continue to bring people in, just how you said you want to reach back and bring people with you. Well, I had the same philosophy when it came to the classes, because if we can get people over and they see how much fun it is while you're allowing the creators and the DJs to monetize, it's a win-win for everyone.
Going back to something that you said earlier, why don't people succeed or whatever? They try it once, and when it doesn't work, they say it didn't work. Like, you know, kind of what I said about my 2008 run to 2012, how it took me 4 years to kind of convert. I knew that the first party that I did, you know, here, or the first thing that I did here, it's, you know, Twitch really is a repeat exposure, you know, experience, as opposed to DJ XY, to the Z is going to be there. Everybody's going to be there. No, everyone's not going to be there the first time.
Right.
And there's so many people that, again, ego-wise, like I said, if they don't get the same viewership instantly that they had on other platforms, it's like, that don't work. I'm like, no, it will work, but you have to build it in order for them to come.
Yes. LV, who's, we all know LV. He always says, whether it's 5 or 5,000 people, you have to perform and DJ the same way because you never know who's watching. Jazzy Jeff said this point as well, talking about Twitch. He said he was DJing one time. He might have had 100 people in there, which is very low for him. I'd love 100 people on my stream. But he was like, there was 2 executives in there that hit him up right after his gig and said, I want you to come and DJ for my associates because they need some lifting up. And these are from major companies. So the point is, you never know who's in your stream watching it. My next question to you about Twitch, and we can kind of share our opinions. What's your favorite feature on Twitch?
All right. I'm going to go with the fact that it's uninterrupted. That's not a feature, but that dynamic, because it's very, distinct, I love that. But specific to Twitch, something that I love is the ability to create the emotes. The emotes take the energy, take the interaction to an entirely different, like I said, the gamification of it. Like they turn the party or they turn the video experience into a game within itself. And that's something that you can't duplicate on other platforms because I want to put up, your Mariah Carey emoji. I want to put up your Mariah Carey emote. I want to put up Vince's, who's ready emote. But I may be in DJ Vince Adams' party and he plays Heartbreaker, and hey, I see Amani's emote.
Yes.
Or I may, do something, and I'm in the, Amani experience, the Emerald party, and now you see, who's ready over there. So to be able to take that personality and share it in a different place, the emotes, man, it's an incredible dynamic. Beyond the bits, beyond anything else, beyond the train, the emotes, number one.
I couldn't agree more because we shout out in the chat. We'll be like, I'll put a Brandy song. I'm like, there's no Brandy emote. We got to get a Brandy emote, but we got to open up more slots. There'll be a slots that we need an HBCU emote. We need like a DMV emote. We need like one for, I think someone has a Aretha Franklin one, but we need like another Luther Vandross emote, like all these different ones that we need. Flossie created a Britney Spears one, but like all these emotes that we need. And it's just like people just love them. They just share it. They throw them up. They're proud of them. Each crew has their emotes. So I agree with you on that one. I like that. I think the uninterrupted one is good too. I'm just a little worried with how the record label stuff turns out. But as you say, we're not going to fear it. We're just going to keep moving forward and not let that affect us as well. So I really appreciate that.
I think to your point, I think they're hyper aware of that. And I think that that's something important for them. And Bezos just has a different approach to things, and Zuckerberg and a lot of other people. So I see that being addressed.
Right. Okay, so we got like maybe 5-10 more minutes. If people have specific questions for Vince, put them in the chat. I'm gonna try to catch it. I'm gonna thank Holly in advance for helping me catch it as well. Hold on, someone's trying to FaceTime me and I'm not available. Hold on. Decline. So yeah, put it in the chat there. Also, while people are waiting, tell people how they can find you online, where you live in the social media world.
At DJ Vince Adams, just as you see it on the screen, everywhere. Pinterest, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere at DJ Vince Adams.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe a final question, and then we'll kind of get to some in the audience. Any last minute words of wisdom or advice for just generally creative people, specifically DJs, but creative people in general? Any last minute words of wisdom or advice?
Yep. I think that anyone who's taking another day to consider whether you should go virtual is a day too many. Virtual is where it's at. I need to see the people. I don't have a computer or what, just start where you are. Like, there's no way that you can see the polls and this and say that I need to graduate from starting position to where I see this person's, I started streaming with an iPhone. That was it. I didn't know anything else. That was all that was there. But I do see DJs. Stacey Kidd, incredible example. Stacey Kidd averages hundreds of viewers with basically nothing on the screen other than Stacey DJing. Of course, he's got a following, but at the same time, I mean, he's like got a mask on one day and he's working
right.
Different perspectives. So, you know, take what it is that you have and maximize it there. But virtual is not going anywhere. Virtual is the new cell phone. What I mean by that, kind of like the you know, example that I gave about your mom saying, I don't need that. It's just in my purse. It's for an emergency. The more that you start to see the application for it, I'm not saying that a person is on every day, but there will be more companies that say, let me get this right. Instead of having this $15,000 venue, because we've got a bar guarantee, paying security, paying caterers, paying this, we can pay somebody to do this in a place that we can get 5 times more people to actually see it. Because we normally get 200 people at our in-person venue, but we can get 1,000 people to come in and out of this party, or we normally get 1,300. Like the party that I did last Saturday has 4,300 reviews. Or, you know, so if this is a party that, you know, would only have 1,000 people show up, this over 4,000 people have seen it, not including the 1,800 that saw it live while it happened. So is that going to be everybody's story? No, but you know people who Amani doesn't know. You know people I don't know. You have access, and if you had a name as a DJ, you can transport some aspect of what it is you're doing, you know, to this environment, because it's just going to start to make sense to the patron,
okay,
you know, or the client, the person that would hire you to do an event.
All right. Got a couple questions that came in. Keep sending them in. So Trish asked, do you ever see yourself, Vince, doing more of a regular weekly schedule as opposed to specific parties?
Is that physically or?
I think she means virtually. I'm going to think she means like on Twitch.
No. Reason being is that if you don't see me on Twitch, there's a possibility I'm actually doing a private event that is not even on the radar. So the private events do well. So I can't commit to a weekly schedule when, you know, like this coming week, I've got a private event on Thursday, a private event on Friday. Neither one of those events, no, the Thursday event will be on my channel. The Friday event will not be on my channel. So then the week after that, I'm not, you know, private events that aren't on. So for that reason, it'll be when I can fit in.
Yeah, and we appreciate when you do go live. So Mabone has a question here. He says, as a DJ, why is conscious rap not embraced by more DJs than the gangster rap music?
It's not as entertaining. So let me put it to you like this. I went to college with Common. I've known Common since he worked Luther South. I've been hired by his team to do private events for Common. So I was in the liner notes for College Dropout Kanye. Like if you look at the thank yous, Vince Adams. So that was more conscious Kanye than
current Kanye. Yes.
But my point is that I've, you know, even in the Chicago scene, you know, known Ron Fest and, you know, so many different dynamics of the music. Today, more than anything, people want to be entertained and not informed. Is that a good thing? No. Is that an answer to Mabone's question? Why does it not get? Because it's not as entertaining.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. All right, Holly, thank you for getting me Little Lucy Analog's question. She says she's very interested in what, if any, concerns artists have in creating the space for a conglomerate like Amazon to be, I think she means between themselves and their fans. And I'm thinking like Amazon owns Twitch, obviously, so they're kind of the gateway to us reaching our fans. Any concerns, or what are your thoughts about that?
Any concerns artists have? So we're the artists.
Correct.
Creating a space for a conglomerate like Amazon to be. So here's how I'm going to interpret that. Would it be better for me to have a direct relationship to my crowd as opposed to kind of being on the backbone of Amazon's platform for me to reach my crowd? That's how I'm going to see that. So would it not be better to have a DJVinceAdams.com where people are coming direct to me I don't necessarily have to, have, and my answer to that is no. There is no concern. Here's why there's no concern. It's because the community dynamic of Twitch is 50 times better than me having my whole pie here, where everyone who comes into my domain. Because for me to come into, LV set and say what's up to Holly, she says what's up to me, creates an opportunity to keep the dynamic, keep the community growing that I would not necessarily have if it were just in my platform. So to me, the community or the communal dynamic of Twitch creates so much more power for everyone, even the viewer, because they form their own family within, like people made friends across the country and stuff like that. They see Vegas girl, Miss Nebraska. Brooklyn States has become family to all of us in a different capacity. So, that's incredible. That wouldn't happen on, AmaniExperience.com or DJVinceAdams.com.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, y'all. Those are all the questions we have. So Vince, just thank you very much for dedicating, 90 minutes of your time today to talk to us. Amazing interview, great wisdom. Can't wait to rewatch it.
90 minutes and 2 computers, but we made it.
But yes, so thank you. We're getting ready to do a raid here on Twitch. We're going to raid DJ Eclipse. Someone put his link there so I can get it right quick. And we'll just look forward to, when's your next stream? Tell us when your next stream is.
Tomorrow we're doing the Tap In Turn Up.
Okay.
Just a regular end of the summer party, not geared toward the Virgos, but definitely still Virgo season. So we're going to celebrate them. But getting ready for the Libras and the Capricorns and the fall birthdays, Scorpios, can't forget them as well. So just kind of a nice transition between the summer and the fall, as we do have change of season here. In LA, we'll see you for the change of season sometime early November.
And what time does this start tomorrow?
3 p.m. Pacific, in deference to you for being the host. 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right, so make sure we all tune in.
And Sunday, I'm doing a special hosted something. Hey, something's got to go. I'm doing a special. Something's got to go. That is actually being hosted by the Alpha Delta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority on Sunday. So that's the game show, and you've come in and had fun with that. So, we're going to do that.
I love that game show. That's so much fun. Dope. So for me, I'll be on tonight, 8 p.m. New Edition Day, 8 p.m. Eastern, New Edition Day Part 2. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, we are doing purple as the theme. So that's it. We're going to go on a raid. Thank you all for tuning in.
And I've got to say this. Shout out to Sydney, my bonus daughter, Khalila's daughter. There was a woman walking around in the back.
That's yes. Clear that up quick. Clear that up quick. Yes.
Shout out to Sydney for going to the kitchen. But
yes. Awesome. All right, Vince. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Hold on 1 minute. I'm gonna do this raid real quick. We're raiding raid. Let's see here. DJ Eclipse 5. I think I got that right there. Let's see here. All right. Yep. All right. So we're getting ready to raid. Thank you all for joining in. And I'm going to stop the show right now once we do the raid and everything. Hold on. Let's see here. Thank you all. Get your emotes ready. Emotes. I love those emotes too. All right. We're getting ready to go on a raid here. Let's see here. Raid. All right. I'm going to stop this real quick because it's also broadcasting on the Facebook.